All right, and we are live, podcast number 106 with Hell is a City. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and what you play in the band?
Hi, I'm Josh. I play the drums.
Carl, I do vocals and guitar.
I'm Gene, and I play the bass.
And I'm your host, Andrew Sanishin, and I'm happy to have you guys here.
Nice. Cheers.
Thanks for coming and bringing some wild beer. What? No. I mean, you guys are drinking PBR now, but you brought these huge cans of what was it? Topa. Wait, Topa.
Topa Brewery. Yeah.
And it was hella good. That's a northern thing, right?
Yeah.
Ojai's not even that northern. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Hella.
Hella is a crowler beer, you know.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's it.
hella hasn't caught on down here, right?
I hope it doesn't.
There's a beer called Hella Artois, which is so
Great. Great.
It's an amazing beer.
But I guess since we're on the subject, you guys, aside from being in a band, work at the same company.
Yeah.
Do we not want people to know this?
Oh, no, it's fine. We all work at Beechwood. Yeah, it's public knowledge. Everybody.
Cool.
we're
You guys brought
practically
me
like
some
house
beers
band.
the last time we did shirts for you, and I was beyond excited.
Yeah, those were good. What did we bring? IPA stuff?
You brought
Foam
and
top
you
and
brought a
IPAs.
few IPAs and then the foam top, which was like a blonde, right?
Yeah.
That one was really good, and people don't always bring me gifts, so that was nice. It was out of the blue, but
Well, we appreciate the work that goes into the shirts, and everyone that has gotten them from us loves not only the quality of like the shirt itself, but
It's
the
soft,
print
right?
is
I
really
like
well
that.
done, too.
well, you guys, the print is all you guys is doing. I mean, I just put it on there, but that's I've said it before, but that design I love. Like lots of bands have just their name or some dumbass fucking design, but that one, like when I saw the print, I was like, thank God, something
It's
cool.
like ideal for shirt making.
Yeah, and I mean, no, for my own personal taste, it was just cool.
Yeah.
Like, because bands usually don't get too artsy with a one-color print. They usually only start doing cooler stuff with multiple colors. But that one-color print for you guys, I love it.
I really like it a lot, too. It kind of stoked when we sort of just fell on that image. Like, just found it in, like, this old, Instagram, like a 70s sci-fi type clip art sort of stuff. So just like show like these random like covers of books and things. We just saw it. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so I started like deconstructing it and just doing all the line work and stuff and kind of modded it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. And everybody who bought a shirt, which I was like, I think sometimes when bands just do like just the name on the shirt, it's like that's asking a lot. To someone to be like, yeah, like I like just your shit enough to put like your name across my
Exactly.
fucking chest.
Just
Like,
your name.
That's fine because I just want to support bands I like.
Yeah.
But I'm also like
That doesn't work unless
a
you're
really
like
cool
huge,
shirt that
like
I
Supreme
also
or something.
want to be like, yeah, that's like my friend's band, but also
Yeah.
like this is a fucking badass shirt.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have like a really cool shirt on top of hopefully that they like our band, and would support it.
I think
as
about
well.
it for like the shirts of bands that I will wear, which I wear your shirt all the time. I think about it like, would I be okay with getting this tattooed on me? Like, just like in my mind,
Yeah,
I'm like,
like the
do I
extreme
want to
version, like-
broadcast this? Do I want to
Yeah.
like wear this out in public for this to be the image that people see? And I like your design. I like the number 44s. I like Bundy's. If I can like,
I like the Psychic Wave one too
Yeah,
that you gave.
that's what people tell me a lot. They're like, even if it's not so much about that it's Psychic Wave, they're like, it's just cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
fun.
great. That's great.
There's a story
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
it too, if like somebody asks you about it.
Sorry?
There's like a story behind it too, like if someone just sees like that's the cool thing about.
Can you pass them the mic real quick?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's the cool thing about having a design like that is it's sort of like a conversation starter too, because they might not necessarily know like what our band is or what
Right.
the podcast is or your band or whatever, but that's sort of like the jumping off point. To be
Exactly.
Like, oh, there's like
Hey,
some
that's a
thought
cool
put into
shirt.
that.
That's cool design. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's Hell is a City. There's some sick ass band from Long Beach.
Have you heard of that? You should check them out.
You probably don't know about them. They're for the hip crowd. But yeah, good point. Well, besides me plugging my T-shirts subliminally.
Oh yeah.
This is the guy.
No, I'm kidding. But I mean, truthfully, I wear your shirt at least once a week.
That's awesome.
And I've worn it on a bunch of podcasts. Like I like the fabric that you guys picked. I like
Yeah.
the design, so I rock it all the time.
We see
And,
a lot of it. It's kind of fun. Like and yeah, that's the joke because everybody like everybody we know who also got a shirt from like our initial shows, we just like blasted that first batch of shirts.
Yeah.
Like, anybody like came out was like
So
just take one,
exciting.
like just anything to help get like the name a little further and like the conversation starter. People just be like, oh, it's a cool shirt. Like, what is that? Oh, it's this band. Check them out. Anything to kind of like help that conversation
Yeah.
get going. So we like just like blew out those shirts, and so a bunch of like people we work with are like wearing them.
Yeah.
Our brewery did a beer called Hellas a city. It's like,
Yeah.
a Hellas style lager. So then like we just kind of slipped into like people at work wear our shirts at work, and it's like
Wow, that's
grandfathered
so
in as,
awesome.
like as like a
Like
brewery, like it's a beer.
servers.
It's pretty much a beer. So like servers are wearing them. We're just like, fuck yeah.
That
like,
is so
in
awesome.
Long Beach, there's 4 locations really, but the brew pub in Long Beach, it's like a full-on restaurant too. So servers and bartenders that have bought shirts from us, or we've just given them to, like they'll wear those to work.
That's
which is
awesome.
pretty cool.
Have you guys gotten like you're looking at somebody's Instagram and it's just a video of them like in their story and you see them wearing the shirt, but they like haven't tagged you. They're just like casually wearing the t-shirt while they're doing stuff.
Yeah, a
That's
couple
so
people-
cool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, and then you message them.
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah, nice shirt.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Oh, you guys.
yeah.
But it's nice that
I
they're
feel like,
like-
is that cheesy? I'm like so into it though. I'm like,
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, like that's our stuff.
to have somebody just casually wearing your shirt, not making a big deal like, oh, this is my friend's band, it's cool. They're just like wearing that amongst their friends.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
such a
another
good
rotation.
feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. feels
Well,
really good.
we got some guy. I can never pronounce his name, but he's no free brand promos. We went over this. Anyway, he was on. I did a podcast the other day. Try to pronounce his name, or his username. This might not be his real name, but tie you up queer, and tie you up queer.
it kind of looks like tie you up.
I'm not making a judgment. I'm just trying to read it. But yeah, he or she is a cool person. They were.
We also didn't forget our beanies. I got one.
Yeah, they got some beanies, PBRs and beanies.
We said not.
But it's
Bill
nice.
hats.
This person interacts a lot, which is pretty cool. So thanks
Nice.
for listening.
Thanks,
About
tie
some-
you up.
Thanks, Tayo.
Thanks, tie you up.
About some band stuff. You guys recorded recently. You got some new stuff on its way, right? Tell us about the process where it was done, or actually tell the story that you told me in here about how you were like looking for a spot. That's a funny story.
We've been like getting ready to. So we started jamming about November last year. So we're still pretty.
Sorry, real quick. He says it is tie you up queer. By the way,
he's like exactly. Thanks, guys.
he
Like,
says yes,
nice.
you got it.
It's a good handle.
All right, sorry to interrupt,
So yeah, so we got together 17. Right, so 2017, like
But
about,
as like a 3-piece, probably early last year.
yeah. So like we just kind of started jamming, started getting things going a little bit, and then Gene came in and kind of rounded that out, and then we finished up a lot of stuff. So we haven't got to record it, but we got to play some shows. My old band, I knew some people, so I kind of hit up a lot of those old contacts and just was like, hey, I got a new project. Like, can we get a night? Can we get a slot and anything? So we started playing, and then we kind of got a lot of hitbacks right away. So before we had like shirts or anything, we were like playing a bunch. So we were like, oh, cool. Like, where's all your stuff? Like,
yeah.
we don't have anything recorded. We don't have any merch. So we kind of like reel back and be like, okay, we need to like get shirts.
Stickers first.
We need stickers. We need to like get some shit together. And so we started talking about recording soon. And then started kind of, getting into that realm. But we were still new enough that we were just trying to find kind of a quicker way to like just get in for a couple days, get a decent, cheaper price, and just get a demo together so we can load some
Right.
stuff up. And then we just recently got into a practice space, a newer spot, and we're all talking about it. I'm like, do we know anybody? I don't know. Do we know like any like we get a buddy hookup, or does anybody like know they've been recorded with somebody? Like we can just get in for a day.
As we're leaning on the mixing board.
Yeah, and I'm like leaning on this board in the space, and I'm like, who else? We shared a space like 4 other people, and we're like, okay,
If only there was somebody that knew something about recording or
There's
had
a
a space where
gigantic-
some recording happened.
Yeah.
Why is my butt have these knobs
I'm like,
engraved
I'm
in
sitting.
me?
Whose board is this?
Yeah.
Does somebody here record? I'm like, we should check. We do, and of course, like the guy who like mainly runs the space that everyone else is like renting, subletting off of or whatever. Yeah, it's like he does that. So we got with him, Matt Prophet.
Yeah.
And he's doing a fucking rad job. So we got that stuff just about done. We're gonna load that all up and have it available.
Very cool.
Shit, probably after the weekend. So that's really cool. But yeah, it's coming out really, really great. So we're
And
pretty stoked.
Like we said when we were talking before this started, it was nice to already. It's nice to go to a studio because, like what you were saying, is like a lot of bands will do that and they'll sort of like play differently because they're in a new space.
Yeah.
Or like it feels new to them to play the same song.
Or maybe they're just, yeah, I mean, it's like rolling up to a venue you've never played at.
Yeah, but
it's
then
like,
the like
we've only got 2
comfortability-
hours. What do we do?
Right, yeah. The comfortability was there because we like weren't necessarily on a time crunch because like his stuff's already there. It doesn't need to move. Our stuff's there. It doesn't need to move.
Right.
And thankfully, he's good friends with the other people that rent the other rooms. So like Couch Guitar Straps is also in that same
Oh, nice.
building. So like
Very cool.
their amps were in the room like behind the drums, and we were all able to play live at the same
Two
time.
different.
Wow.
And then so like he mic'd all the drums in
Yeah.
the room that we were all in, and then mic'd their stuff separately.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's fun.
I think it's I've always wanted to record that way with everybody
efficient.
playing at once.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, everybody's favorite albums, like everybody's playing at the same time. But nowadays everything's usually like chopped up. Everybody's playing separately.
You can really
Like
hear
different
it.
states sometimes. too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know it works. It works. One of my favorite bands, MGMT, they do all their demos like separately, you know, but then they still record together playing at the same time. I think it helps.
I think so. I mean, especially, from playing that way. I mean, I've not recorded a bunch, but I've recorded enough times in different situations like that the broke up ones were like, okay, cool, we got the drums, and then like now you go and do guitar.
I
and
feel
then
like
sit
I'm
there.
less passionate about it when it's like
It
it,
does- it
takes too
doesn't
long
feel-
to, or it's over like a longer period of time. It's like
It's hard to like stay in that moment, you know, because you get there and there's a lot of stress going on. You're trying to like nail it and do it right, and you got like everyone there. Like there's a lot of responsibility to like make sure you're not the one like dragging the fucking track up and making sure that we're doing 30 takes. So it's
Yeah.
like there's a little bit of pressure, a little stress, like there's excitement. So when you're all there and you can face one another and kind of all feel that together and get on the same page and make sure
Yeah.
like you're on the same team, it's like that feels better. Not only to be there and feel like you have like the backing of your other members, but then when you nail the take, it's like
oh yeah,
Like-
everybody's like
Well,
fuck yeah.
yeah, it's
Like
like,
the-
yeah, you got like, you feel that shit? You feel that shit? Like, it's good, you know? It's
Yeah.
exciting.
The energy is so much different too when you're able to play live because it's like it's the energy of like playing a show or like having practice.
I think it feels more real to you guys too, because like when you put it out, you'll be like, "That's what we sound like."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
you know,
take-
you don't like get nervous. You're like, "Holy shit, our album is so produced, but we can't play this live." You know what I mean?
I've always said I'd rather be a live band than like, oh, that sounds really good on the record. Then you go see them live and you're like, this fucking
Yeah.
sucks. Like, I'd rather like the record sound like a little thin and be like, but
Yeah.
no, but that's real though.
But
like,
you can
just
like
turn it up
you can-
louder.
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's the most like accurate representation of what you're trying to do.
right, exactly. It's so funny because there's a bunch of like LA like surf rock bands right now that are into that whole like super lo-fi sound. And I'm not like a big fan of it too much because you can tell like they're only playing or they're only recording lo-fi to make a certain sound and to make their live performances seem more full because you'll be like, "Oh, they sound so much bigger live." No shit. But you can always tell when they're doing it for that purpose versus when they just play that well live.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It's a weird trend.
Why try to? Okay, like art is art, but why try to record at a shittier quality than what your amp puts out?
But it's like more authentic.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Guys are like, put more overdrive on that. Like the whole thing, the whole master.
Yeah.
Just make it sound
It's like I want
shittier.
to make it sound like we're playing like through the wall and you can hear us like in the bathroom, like,
Yeah.
but you don't sound like that live. So like,
Yeah.
unless you're gonna put a big sheet up and play to the crowd through your sheet,
I think the
Maybe
best
some people are doing that.
version of that is
that'd be
like
cool. I'd respect that more.
like the way the White Stripes or even like the Black Keys play
Yeah.
or their record sound. It's like it sounds full and it sounds big. There's a little of this like you almost feel like you're in the room with them, but it still sounds produced well enough.
Feels kind of stripped down.
Feels
but
kinda
it's, like good production quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has that rawness to it, but it's not like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
fuck that. I hate I don't know. I want to hear what it sounds like. I want it to like sound full, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should be accurate of like what you're trying to convey too. Like that's the other thing is like the emotion and energy is such a big part of what goes into creating music. So why would you
Sing through a kazoo.
exactly. It's like I don't like the thing. This is what I think some bands miss is like I don't like the Velvet Underground their album Loaded because it sounds like it's not recorded to today's standards. That's not why I like it. I don't like that it sounds old. What I like about it is the energy and the actual musicianship.
Yeah.
It happened to be recorded a while ago, so it's recorded differently than we would do it now.
Yeah.
But if they had that same energy, but today's technology, I'm sure they would use it if they had never known any different.
Yeah.
I'm going off on a tangent. That it upsets me a little bit. But I'm happy
I
that you
think
guys have had a good recording process.
Yeah.
it was really nice.
Yeah, I've had, like I said, I haven't recorded a lot, but I've recorded a few times that have been so stressful, and it's frustrating when you put that much into it, and then if you get something back that doesn't feel authentic, it doesn't feel like what you were meant, like what you were trying to get across, you do feel really like, I mean, robbed might be a dramatic way to say it, but it does suck when like it doesn't come out, you don't get that
You're not
recording
happy
back,
with
and
it.
you're just like, fuck, man, like that's not, I don't want that to sound like fucking that. Like,
Right.
that sucks, you know, and to put all that work and the time and spend money on it and to have it come back and not be what you wanted to sound like or get like something you're really happy and proud of, like, that fucking sucks, man. It's a real, like, just shot, you know, and like this
Right.
already is like, it's just like, oh, fuck yeah, like that sounds like, I feel like that sounds like how we sound, and that feels really good. Like, I'm feeling really stoked. Well, at least if someone's like, I don't like that, I'm like, that's fine.
Do you
But
ever
that's what
have
you sound
like
like, so I'm fine with that. If you don't dig it, that's fucking totally fine, you know?
that? What you're mentioning is so. I've never been able to put it into words like that, but yeah, like that sounds like what we sound like.
Yeah.
Like that's such a cool thing. Have you ever like had a riff or a part that you guys were working on, and you're like, man, when we go to practice, I'm gonna like bring this to them, and like you're imagining what they're gonna do on it.
Yeah.
But you know you can't. You're like, I need to bring it to them. And it's, you know, they're going to build from there. But then you bring it to them, and it's like, oh, that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feeling.
Or it's even better.
What?
Or like
Usually it's even better
Usually
because
better, yeah.
you know they're playing in a different way that you would. Obviously, they have a different musical mind, but it's just a great
I
feeling.
feel like that happens a lot too, because like at least up to this point, the way that we've written a lot of our songs is like the two of them will have an idea that they'll kind of flush out together, and then because they live together too, so like that's helpful
Yeah.
for like the guitar writing
Hey, dude,
process.
come down here. I've got
Come
a
over here,
Yeah.
in the hallway.
I've got this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like
And then-
in the kitchen, like pouring water. Like, what's that?
We should
Hold
record
on,
that.
let me
dude.
my guitar. Wait, right there. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
great.
they'll
Yeah,
like they might have something totally different in mind for like what the like rhythm is sort of gonna shape into, and then something like totally different happens, and that's sort of the cool thing about this band too, is like that's what I like about having just a 3-piece too, because
yes.
it's sort of like it doesn't limit you, but you're stripped down to a point where
I think you have to be
every
more
part has
creative
to-
when
more
you're
creative, exactly.
Yeah, because
And-
you're like, how do we fill the space creatively, make it sound full?
right, because bands that have like the Ocean or like I forget like what are the bands, but like there's like 10 members in those bands. And
Yeah.
There's like 6 synth players. There's
Yeah.
like a violinist.
It's like I can't tell who's playing what note.
Exactly,
Everybody's
it's
going
like-
like this, but it sounds like
and it makes like every snare hit and every solo and every like bass line that much more important because it's not wasted on just filling space.
exactly. Yeah, I had recorded demos for my band Psychic Wave, and we're gonna get together and start playing. But because I'm limited, like I'm limited with every instrument, but as a drummer especially. But I like wanted to get at least some basic drums down to kind of help me as I'm writing the song to bring it to them. And because I'm not that great of a musician, I was thinking more about specific points where things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And you bring the bass of everything to somebody, and they just, I think they get that, like that every single second, every single note, every single hit counts.
Yeah.
And it makes there's a genuine thing to it.
Mhm.
And as a 3-piece, that's what I either like a 3-piece or like a 5-piece.
Yeah.
I don't like 7 people in a band. What is it? How many does Arcade Fire have? There's like
40.
40.
It's an entire arcade of people.
Can you imagine the rider for that? How much beer they need in the green room for a 40-person band?
It's probably just kombucha or something.
Well, like the approach is cool too, because like not only being a 3-piece makes every single thing important, but like your setup too. So like when I was playing drums I used to play with I had like 4 toms and like a ton of cymbals, and like I realized that my favorite drummers always just had like 2 toms and a snare, and then whatever cymbals they had set up, and like 8,000 cymbals. Like you challenge yourself more because you try to get more sound out of the kit, and like you change the way you hit a tom, whether it's like towards the edge or towards the center, or you get more creative with it.
I remember my dad is one of the most creative musicians I've ever seen play, ever. And I remember in junior high, he was trying to teach me a bunch of lessons in one. One about money, one about hard work, and then another one about creativity. And I said, Dad, 2 of my guitar strings broke. And, I was a snotty teenager. I was like, I need you to take me to Guitar Center right now. Or else. And he was like, do you have any money for guitar strings? I was like, no. Okay, well, then you need to figure out how to get some money. Because if I take you, it's not going to matter. And then also, why don't you just try to write a great song with the strings you have? Mm-hmm. See if you could do it. Try to write a great song. And I was like, fuck, that's a cool idea. The song sucked, but I thought it was great. Mm-hmm. And the point is that
the point gets there, though.
When you're limited with what you have, you still can achieve a satisfying outcome. Mm-hmm. You just have to work at it differently. And it
that's like where there's a will, there's a way kind of a thing.
But it
like
forces,
if you want to do that, like you can still get there.
Yes.
You got to figure out how
to do it. But I think the point with what he's saying about using less, drums is your mind has to creatively find paths that are still satisfying with less.
Mm-hmm. And sound like you have a lot more too.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And damn, drummers that can do that. Like I saw one drummer in it was like Tennessee or somewhere. But this guy, he was playing, and he just had hi-hat, ride, snare, kick. One of the best drummers I've ever seen. He was like, just like, like a jazz drummer, but doing stuff with like a...
Just like little to nothing. That's
God.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just got so good, and it made me feel so bad about myself. He's like, because just doing so much with so little, you know? Oh, God. Anyway, I'm excited that you guys think that way. I get a lot of bands on here that are really good musicians, but are very caught up in their equipment. Mm-hmm. Which equipment's fun. It's toys. We all love toys. It's gear. But so one thing a question that kind of came to my head right now is like, what albums do you guys love where it's a 3-piece?
Russian Circles.
Russian Circles.
Yeah. So Dave Turncrantz.
Can you give the mic to him a little bit?
So they're from Chicago. I haven't really listened to a lot of the past few albums, but their first few, I saw them a bunch of times. But their drummer Dave Turncrantz was one of like the more influential drummers for me as far as like seeing what you can do with such a small set. So like he had just snare or floor tom, rack tom, cymbals, snare, basic, but he was just so. He had like really tight chops, and like he was just very creative with what he did. And they're just a 3-piece, and then
Russian Circles. Oh my God, I think I went on tour with the band Iris, and I think they listened to a lot of Russian Circles.
Their bassist used to be in that band These Arms Are Snakes.
I don't know. They showed me a lot of new music, but I think that came up.
Well, they're not a 3-piece, but the Grails is probably my favorite band, and their drummer also has that same similar stripped down setup, but he plays in like a very jazzy manner, and it's
That
just
kind of drumming fucks me up.
yeah,
I'm like, god damn it.
it's mine.
Listen to some of the drum tracks sold out when we were mixing down. We're just like,
Start
This is
crying.
so
Josh
jazzy.
and jazz. Like when like all the,
I'm so bad at jazz.
there was a couple spots that were like when like all the music's dropped out, it was like just the drums, like without like the like heavy like on the one kind of like parts of the other spots of music. It was like, oh, like, listen to Josh over there, just like.
I'm in my own jazz band.
This isn't a 3-piece but I mean, as far as musically a 3-piece, that's probably what I think about as far as sound dynamics wise. Like just having so much awesome bass and rad guitar, like really as a thick like 3-piece musical band. Like I still think of that band as, it's not technically a 3-piece, but like Ozzy's not playing the guitar, so
Right.
like, as a musically a 3-piece,
Right,
like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they covered a lot of ground.
Sure.
You know,
There was
Um,
yeah.
There's a lot of ground.
yeah, it's
I listened to a
ground
lot
shit. But I
on,
mean, even like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, I've like said this a lot of times too. Where like I always say, you know, having a good rhythm section allows a lot of things to happen. So like, Stevie Ray Vaughan is an awesome guitar player, obviously, but I mean, if he had a shitty band, nobody would. Probably.
I've
it'd be
seen a
hard-
lot
it'd be
of
hard.
really good guitarists with a really bad band behind them.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
like
like,
it's hard to like let that thing get some wings, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
like, but if you have a band backing you, like, I mean, with Tommy Shannon and Chris Liddell, like, Double Trouble is fucking awesome. Like, and there's live stuff like the Austin City Limits one with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double
Didn't see
Trouble.
it.
It's great.
Well, imagine
They're like so tight. There's so many spots where like you're watching Stevie Ray Vaughan, you're just like, oh yeah, and he's like ripping. There's cool shit, and then you kind of like drift back a little bit, and you're like, but what the fuck? Like that rhythm
Yeah.
section is like
well, I think
fucking locked in, man. Like
An
they're
example-
so badass.
an example that I always think of is I remember K-Rock was doing this morning breakdown thing, and they were like, they show you like the bass soloed, the guitar soloed, the vocal
love that
soloed.
shit.
Yeah, usually I do, but it was Jimi Hendrix this time,
Yeah.
right?
That was mine.
And they were doing. I mean, well, here's what I was gonna say. To his point,
Yeah.
though,
No.
is that they played Jimi Hendrix guitar and his vocals without bass and drums,
Yeah.
and it actually like, I mean, he's got a great voice, great guitarist, of course, but without something cutting it, kind of, and giving it that rhythm and giving it the spots where it really hits,
Soul.
it sounded like just like a sloppy guy singing drunk. It really did.
Exactly.
And then they added the drums and the bass, and it was like, oh, there is where that's the hook
song.
where you like catch in right there. You're like, that's the part where you're like, "Bow!" you know,
Yeah.
but you don't get that without everything else.
Yeah.
So speak more to Hendrix
Well, I that was like I just went to that immediately, but
as a
I was
3-piece.
thinking, is Pelican a 3-piece? I can't.
Pelican. I don't know Pelican.
I saw them live. I should know.
Can we get the
I
mic a little bit closer?
I was just like transfixed, but they just have like a very powerful sound that's like they have a bassist and I think they might actually have 2 guitarists, but I should know this, but yeah, it's like they have 4 guitarists. Yeah. No, they just have like a sound that like everything kind of melds together.
Yeah.
It's all just like one like heavy.
It's
3
it's
becoming
hard.
1.
It's
Yeah.
hard to be a strictly instrumental band too, and like Pelican's a good example of one that keeps you interested in like what is happening next.
Yeah.
Like even if it's a really long song too. Like you don't get bored of it. Like
No,
there's
for
so many
sure.
post rock bands and shit like that. It's
Yeah.
like, ugh.
We have Meg Penny saying Dinosaur Jr., The Jam, and ZZ Top. Duh.
Meg.
And John Denault says a good percussionist can make any band sound better. I attest to that because I am a horrible musician, and my drummer makes us good. He was actually my dad's drummer. So I've got young parents. So my drummer is
They're 13 and 14.
my drummer. Enrique is 43, and he's been drumming for longer than I've been alive. And goddamn, I'll bring him a simple riff, and he makes me sound amazing. And I'm like, oh God, thank you, thank you. Nice. And he plays so loud too. I think the point of all this is a good rhythm section. Rhythm section.
As a guitar player, and now I guess as a singer too, like I I know so many other guitar players who are just definitely more like they want to do more solos. They want to be more like look at me, and I'm like I just.
You can with a good rhythm section. But
You can with good rhythm section.
But I mean, like, I love rhythm. Like, I love a good rhythm section. There's parts, like, even when I write guitar parts, I'm always thinking about not just my riff, you know, do-do-do-do-do, but I'm thinking, like, how it's going to be like, do-do-do-do-da. Like, I was like, thinking about
exactly.
how,
That too.
yeah, and, like, ZZ Top especially, I love, like, especially their older shit, man. Like, their old, like, original ZZ Top stuff, and old Skinner stuff, too. Like, Artemis Pyle, as a drummer, like, he like would play riffs with his drums. You know, they wouldn't just drum, and like he would like link up with the guitar riffs and then would do stuff that you like. It makes the guitar, you could play just 3 chords in a basic riff, and if your rhythm section's like tagging in, like, and all of a sudden like the whole band is moving as one thing, and then like everybody starts feeling like you can't not feel like a groove like that when everyone's in the loop, you know. And so when
rhythm
I write,
creates the groove.
hell yeah. And so when I'm writing guitar stuff, I'll be kind of like thinking about that. But most of the time, especially with this band, like I think we all listen to a lot of similar things and have like some similar ideas, but we all have like spots. Like I don't listen to stuff that Gene listens to, and I listen to stuff that these guys don't, and he listens. You know, so we have our big chunk of common ground, and then we have these other things we're really pulling from. So when I bring an idea, most of the time, whatever I had in my head for the bass and the drums to play doesn't happen. But it's in a good way. Like I'll be like, I write this thing, and then like all of a sudden, if any part starts coming in, like it explodes those ideas because I'm like, oh well then I can play it like this. Like it shifts the
like,
accent of the note. It's like a whole different thing. All of a sudden, it's like, oh,
But you,
fuck.
It helps
but
to,
yeah,
write
like
more sometimes.
yeah, and then like it gets that like that little idea where like I'm just on like this little note. Then it's like, oh well, if we're gonna play like that, then like all these doors open, all these avenues.
Well,
go,
that's
and
I
we can,
think
like,
just
pick it
being
anywhere.
mindful of everyone in the band.
For sure.
Like there's a thing that really stuck with me that made me like smile when I heard it. It was Dave Grohl talking about Kurt Cobain, and he was saying Kurt Cobain would write guitar riffs but be very mindful of the drums that he would think to go over it. And Dave Grohl says, I remember watching him play me a riff and tap his teeth to how he thought the kick would go. So he'd be playing a riff but go like he would
Thump.
yeah, he would like kind of just be cutting it as the rhythm section would be. And Dave Grohl was saying he was always on point with that. So just being mindful of like everybody in the band and how they can. There's riffs that you shouldn't bring to the band. There's rhythm sections that you can't play in a song because you know this isn't going to go well with what my guys do. You've got to like really work as a team.
Yeah.
And mindfulness, 2019, mindfulness. So you guys, what? Have you been around a year yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
One says yes, one says almost.
like our
Yes.
Our first show was.
Tess,
What, April?
can you bring us some more beer, please?
Yeah, that was the
Thank you.
Ashley show, right?
Yeah.
So April was our
What was
first.
the first show?
What beers do you guys want? We're gonna
I think there's some more.
There's beer in the
we have
world.
more than
what
PBRs.
PBRs?
Right.
Thank you.
Pippers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we kind of like more officially put ourselves together, sort of I guess at the top of like last year. So I mean, we played our first show in April, but I would say we've probably been more officially like a band with a name at probably like,
Over a year.
Yeah.
Probably last June.
yeah,
Probably last
like January. We kind of like solidified a lot of stuff in January. It was like, okay. And
We're
then
gonna
we,
do
like,
this.
Solid up
Yeah.
some songs and some riffs, and then it was like when we started booking some shows. And I think our first show was somewhere in April.
So how did you? So whose baby is this band? Who is the one that was like, let's get a band together?
Three fathers. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it happened through.
Can you give him the mic?
It happened
Or-
through our
yeah.
job because.
Thank you, Tess. John says hi, by the way. John says hi.
It was nice.
John
It
Denault.
slide really well.
He's like on every podcast now. Oh, hey. But sorry. So yeah, the
Oh, so it started through work. So a guy that I worked with, he mentioned that because I'd met Carl and Gene through Beechwood, so he had said that Carl plays guitar, and is like looking for a band or looking for a drummer or something. And I didn't have my drums at the time, but my friend's fiance had some that I could borrow, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
So when I ended up talking with him, I was like, "Hey, look, here, you're looking to like start a band, maybe?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "Fuck yeah!" And
That's funny because I've known Carl off of maybe like 4 interactions, and the way you just said "fuck yeah" was so spot on. That's exactly
He says
how
it a
he
lot.
says it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But
Fuck yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so it just kind of started from there, and I was able to borrow the drum set from my friend, and we were fortunate enough to be able to actually practice in the brewery. So in the office, they have like in the warehouse part.
You
like,
guys live
basically in the
such cool
conference room.
lives.
They
Jesus
made us get
Christ.
tattoos.
Hey, you want to go to band practice in our brewery?
Yeah,
They made us get Beachwood tattoos as tramp stamps. I don't want to show you; it's too embarrassing. But
it
we all
was-
paid the cost. You know?
it was really cool because
Thanks, Gabe.
we had a free place to play. We could like store our stuff there. We would because it was a conference room that they used a lot. We would just break down our stuff and put it onto a pallet, and then use the forklift and then raise my drum set above the walk-in. So like
God damn.
that was like the only pain in the ass, but like you can't really complain at that point.
When you
But-
guys make it big, that story is gonna crack people up. It just is.
But
That's
so,
a great story.
So where we recorded is like right up the street from like all of our houses now. So
Cool.
It's nice to be local, but we were
Yeah.
very lucky to have that opportunity at first.
How long have you guys are you all living in Long Beach?
Yeah.
How long have you guys been living there?
I've been here about 6 years. I moved down here. Yeah. About
Yeah,
6
you
years
were
ago.
Oregon first.
Yeah, Oregon, and then I was up in Seattle. Work brought me down here, and then just that basic thing, job here, there, and then band stuff, and everything kind of fizzled out, and then ran into these guys. So.
Ran into these folks.
Ran into these motherfuckers, am I right?
What about you? What about you guys?
Just about a year and a half.
Okay, where were you living before then?
Glendale before that.
Okay.
For about a year and a half, and I'm from the East Coast. We're from Cape Cod.
Okay, nice.
So my wife and I, we got married, and then we drove cross country in a camper.
God, this guy lives such a cool life. Forklifts, friends, drums,
We
marriage,
lived in a
Cape
camper for
Cod,
about, like,
campers.
6 months.
This
It was like
band's
19
alright.
feet. It was like, our camper was like probably smaller than this room actually,
That's great though.
but it was great. Like it's perfect size.
We've one of the guys that came on the podcast recently, he bought an ambulance that he's converting into a
Camper.
van, a camper sort of
Some people
thing.
do it with, like,
And him
small
and his
school buses.
girlfriend are going to be going cross country in it, just live streaming the whole experience. And they've never lived together, and they're going to be
Oh,
living in a
boy.
van. So expect some fights.
That'll get
Actually,
that's gonna like lock it in, or it's gonna break it.
that's
But,
what I was
mean, that's
thinking.
good,
Maybe
though.
their whole relationship will
Trial by
just.
fire,
I mean,
man.
God, imagine getting into a relationship and then traveling across the U.S. Like it could
Having
get
to
you
live
really
together,
close. Would you say?
Having never lived together too.
Yeah.
That's,
It could
That's a
either
big
you
one.
get really close and it's the time of your life and you'll always love it,
And you just have to
or it
fart.
lasts a week and she gets a plane ticket back to Miami to
Yeah.
go do coke off some dude's dick. Like that's the way. It
Or
goes.
you got a plane ticket so her new boyfriend kicked you out of the van.
Ugh, yeah. Luckily,
Damn it.
he owns that van. Luckily,
Yeah.
but
This is my van now, boy. Like shit.
oh,
the
cuckold.
worst road
Have you
trip
been here the
ever.
longest?
What?
You've been in Long Beach the longest, right?
Can you give him the mic?
Not quite. No, I've been in Long Beach for 4 years.
What were you doing before then?
Working in a hospital in Connecticut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Coroner.
What? Coroner's office. I said cornhole.
Cornhole champion.
Cornhole.
Yeah, what were you doing in the hospital?
It was like a job.
He's being so
Like,
vague.
it was the worst.
Guys, I think that
Even more creepy.
he used to be
Just,
a
I want to
doctor.
talk about it.
He used to be a doctor. He lost his medical license. Had to move to Long Beach.
He's like
I think I
48.
got him. No, I'm just kidding. But all right, we don't have to get into the past. Everybody's got a messy one. But now you're in a really hip band,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and things are going all right.
Yeah.
So, another question I have for you guys to kind of give him or get him off the frying pan here is yeah, and into the fire. Every band has different characteristics. There's the funny guy, there's the one that takes practice way too seriously, And then there's
That also nobody yet.
so what do you guys do? What's your roles
I think
in the
we're
band?
all of them.
You're all of them.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the stupidest thing
No
that's ever
comments,
happened
no.
in the band?
No,
As a
there's-
band, what's the stupidest thing that's
God,
ever
there's
happened?
So
Well,
many.
this won't incriminate us because they already caught us, but
Oh yeah,
You give them back.
we played a show in San Diego, and we borrowed the work van because they had said in the past that we could
Okay.
just to like transport stuff, but there's only 2 seats in that work van. There's 3 of us, obviously.
Okay.
So we kind of got caught with 3 of us in the front.
Wait,
I
there's
was
only 2 seats in a van?
in a work van, so
The
there's
back
like
is
2
for,
bucket
like,
seats. Back is just all empty
okay.
for storage and everything. So I put my drum throne on
It was a pot. You took a pot.
on top of a
You took
pot.
my
A drum throne on a pot.
Yeah, just the seat part of the drum throne.
Okay.
Onto an inverted pot because the drum throne itself wouldn't fit because it was too tall. So
Okay.
they had like a short household pot that I could put my drum throne on and sat on that. And
And they pulled you over for that?
No, our bosses found it.
How did they find out?
The worst.
They asked us
This is
and
like
we
a
didn't want
movie.
to
This
lie
is
to
like a
them.
movie scenario.
Wait.
Like,
give-
this is like a movie scenario. Like we go out and it's like they've always been really awesome. Again, like we've been practicing like in the fucking brewery and stuff. So like they're great. And we borrowed like a rig before to be like, oh, can we like move this gear over there? But nobody else had to ride in the van, so it has never been a problem. And this like we have a show down there, and I go like, I was gonna ask somebody, and I didn't. And I was like, hey Josh, did you? And he's like,
I thought you did.
I thought you did. And I was like, oh, I thought you did. Oh, so no one asked permission. We're just like in this.
So we
van
just
full of gear.
stole this van?
Yeah, we're just like, oh, okay. And then we're like leaving. It's like, well, I guess whatever. Like we gotta go to the show. And then
If anybody ever
as
asks
we're
you
leaving,
if you've accidentally stolen something, you can honestly say yes.
yeah, like we literally were like, oops, we just stole this van. And then we're driving and like we're like in traffic. We pass the other owner, and he's like,
Oh
It's like-
no!
He's
You're
like, hey,
shitting me.
what's up?
yeah, he was like, hey, and
In
we're
traffic
like,
on a
hey.
street or on the freeway?
On
On the street.
but, like,
Okay.
heading
On the way to the
like,
freeway.
very
Like
Is-
we're like on the way out.
Like,
Is
yeah.
the van
it's
like
pretty obvious.
vinyled out? It
No,
has
no,
logos.
just a
or
white
anything?
van.
Just a white van,
But-
and he
but
noticed
He
you.
just
But
saw
we were-
the
but we
well,
were
we
leaving-
kind of look.
We were leaving from like the industrial park with breweries, and it's like it's
Okay.
obviously our van
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
even
Oh,
though it's
got it,
It's
got
a
it.
it's a long basic white van, but it's recognizable from the other ones that are in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Basic white
And
van.
he waves at you.
And he's like, hey, and we're like, hey, and then we're like, all right. And then we're like, we get almost, we pretty much get there, and then text comes in, and it's like, I noticed that all your cars are here. There's 3 of you,
Did Josh
and the van's gone, and there's only 2 seats in the van. Did someone else take another vehicle I don't know about? And we're just like,
What?
we're so fucking busted.
Oh, didn't they tell you? We were
Yeah, that was
allowed.
pretty stupid.
So what happened? What were the
We're
repercussions?
really dumb.
We're really dumb.
Have you ever had like your parents do that thing where they're like, "We're not mad, we're just really
disappointed."
disappointed," and that
Every
feels so much
day.
worse? Yeah, it was like that. Like I got sat down and they're just like, "I should fire you," and I'm like,
They
"Just
said
do
that?
it. Like fire me. This is worse." They're like, "No, just me." It was like it just made me feel like shit because they're like, "You should know better. You shouldn't do that." I was like, "I know. I'm sorry." Like it was
Dude,
terrible.
I had a conversation
They didn't fire me.
like
Still-
that with
In fairness, for now.
my
For now.
dad is like the coolest guy ever, and I'm 25 right now, and
What?
I still have those conversations with him. The other day he had a conversation with me,
For now.
and he was like just grilling me, and it was things that like I'm aware of, and I was like, I get it. Yep.
Okay, I
I'm
get
that, but I respect him so much because he's really like the best guy. He really is, and he's so creative. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Any problem he has, figures it out. And I tell him, I'm like, look, it's upsetting to me that I have to sit through this because we both know I know this information. I'm not saying it didn't need to be said, but
Leave me alone.
like can we just like stop this whole thing? But that's authority, man. They had to lay into you a little bit.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Did you kiss ass for a little bit after that?
I didn't kiss ass. I definitely tucked tail a little bit. Didn't come into the office as like bright and bushy tail as usual. Just kind of like, hey, I'm just gonna go in the.
I'm gonna go do some hard work.
Get the fuck out.
I'm gonna go do some overtime without billing you guys.
Yeah, I clocked out, but I finished up because I just, it's fine. What are you guys doing?
I'll stay
this week?
late if I need to.
How was your weekend? Cool.
Oh, cool. Your wife?
This isn't like a really bad story, but I still think this is hilarious. I keep telling us a bunch, but we just played that Harvell show, and I was like sound checking, and the guy was like, like drums, all right, okay, bass, all right, sounds good, a guitar, and I'm like jam some stuff, and he's like, okay, like how loud does it go? And I'm like, how loud does it go? Oh yeah, I like turn it up a little bit, and I'm like, chug, like how loud is it? And he's like, I meant like your lead channel or something.
Yeah, like how loud do you
play
get
tonight?
during, yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry.
He's all like this.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, whoop. Like I can go. I'm like, this amp's like 100 watts, bro. I'm at like 4 or 5. I can go to 10.
I've got like 11 ohms.
Yeah. And I was like, not even like, I was wholeheartedly like, cool, I'll turn the fuck up. Like, you tell me when, bitch.
You know what's so?
And it was completely.
You start getting mean to sound guys.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck?
Dude, that's the worst
your
type of
lead
band
tone.
member.
I was like,
sucked though.
yeah,
No,
he did.
the worst
Well,
type
he's
of
probably
band member
listening.
though,
He's a
or
fan.
That's fine. He
don't
sucks.
be mean to sound guys. Don't be mean to sound guys ever. But at the same time, I
bouncers.
understand. Oh, bouncers especially, they'll save your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not.
Or ended.
Or not.
Yeah.
But sound guys, I get it because they listen to so many bands, and so many of them suck. But if I was a sound guy, even if I heard a lot of shitty bands and I said, "How loud does it go?" and some guy cranked it and started playing, I'd be like in shock for a second. But after, when he turns it down, when he realizes I'm like, that's not what I meant. You gotta laugh, right? Like, that's fucking hilarious.
Like,
No?
And like,
I don't know that he didn't laugh.
I don't know. I don't know if he did or not. He like, because like his microphone's like only in the monitors. So he's like, I just meant how loud is it go on your lead channel? And like comes to the monitor. I'm
All
like,
quiet.
oh.
Hey, you fucking noob.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
Wait, for show?
of course you did. The fuck am I doing?
You like Stairway to Heaven?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole solo.
I should just played Freebird.
All right, so we're near the end.
Okay.
We're at 47 minutes. I'm going to ask you guys each, you get to answer 2 questions that I ask every band. I stopped for a while, but I remembered that I do this now.
Just in time.
And we're going to get some interaction on here from our listeners right now. When you guys are great. Yeah.
No window.
But so if
Very
you
few windows,
guys
actually.
watching on the live stream right now, if you want to comment your answer to the questions that I'm asking them, please do. I'll check them periodically before we end. But the first question that each of you get to answer, and you can only give one answer, not 2. First question for each of you is, give us one band, artist, or musician that you hate. I'll give one too. I'm gonna. So every time I
wanna
do
start
this, no. Okay. Every time I do this,
Nickelback.
Doesn't count.
you can't do Nickel. Okay, so you can't do
Okay,
Nickelback.
no
you can't do Creed.
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
A Greta Van Fleet, I'll allow, but just because
know
they're new.
enough.
Good, you hate them though. I promise.
Getting a vibe.
But every time I do this with a band, I try to think of a new one that I haven't heard or said in the past, so it's just as hard for me. I promise. But so a band, artist, or musician that you guys hate, somebody go first.
To be honest, I got one.
Okay.
He's got one.
Oh man, everybody hates me for this.
Okay, this is the best kind.
I fucking don't like Jack White. I don't. I don't.
Solo
I-
or any musical project?
honestly, I haven't tracked a lot of his stuff down because I didn't like the White Stripes.
Okay.
So like
All right.
his like sound with the White Stripes. Oh, everybody getting good on this one?
No. Well, Michael Maldonado's from... Michael Maldonado.
Bring the hate.
Bring the hate. But
He hates Pantera. Oh,
Michael
man, Pantera's so
Maldonado
cool.
is the bassist for the band Iris. He says Pantera, and you know what? I'm kind of there with Pantera. There's a few songs that I like, but overall, not my thing.
Oh man, I love Pantera.
I'm gonna get stabbed.
Well,
My head's
I'm all
stuck.
this podcast is over. No, yeah. I mean, I think not to get on the Pantera thing. Back to the hate thing.
Okay.
No, yeah. I just I think it started out just like I don't really care for Jack White, and I didn't really like the White Stripes. But I think that everybody I know is
Was
like,
it boring to you?
just listen to his tone. I'm like, I don't dig it. And they're like, all these songs. I'm like, I don't fucking dig it. And everyone's
Was
like,
it just-
I love everything about it. And like, I think like my hate just like was spawned
Oh.
because I didn't give a shit, and everyone like just fucking loved it.
That happens to me,
And I'm just
especially
like,
if I'm
I
not.
fucking-
If not,
I really don't like it.
I felt that way with the new Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
I haven't seen it.
I was like, I didn't really like it that much. There was no story. It was just like, how are you going to condense this band into 2 hours?
Yeah. No one can play Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job, but it's like, it was,
She did.
he did a good job, but it was just like so. Okay, one of my favorite movies is Almost Famous.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie. There's story, character development. There's some honest, real shit going on in the movie. And it makes sense. There's nothing about that movie that doesn't line up. Bohemian Rhapsody was the complete opposite. It was all gimmicky.
It's like
It wasn't
cherry-picked.
real. It was just like things were happening
Yeah.
just watch a documentary. Don't fucking... Anyway. But my point to that was that everybody loved it so much. I
It
hated it
makes you
more.
hate it, right?
I hated
Yeah.
it more. Just like you
Like, maybe
with...
I'm not giving Jack White a fair shake, but I also
I think he can play music well.
Mm-hmm.
It just may not be your style. It's fine to not like something,
Yeah.
but still have some... You know, I don't think that guy's a complete cunt. I like the White Stripes. I do.
I
Me
don't know
personally.
him personally.
This is what I'm saying. It's like, I like the music.
He's like watching this. He's like, "What the guy's
But-
not liking me?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, Jack White.
I
don't
like
even
the
know you."
music. If somebody didn't like the music, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I think you gotta like, that's what music is. It's like just...
It's like a quiet thing though, because most people are just always like, "Oh yeah, it's like Jack White." And then what? I mean, like you already made a Jack White reference earlier tonight. It was
did.
like it just like comes out.
But
'Cause
it's
everyone-
because it's-
and that's like fine. I'm not like fuck this guy, but I mean like it comes up all the time where someone's like, "Oh yeah, White Stripes and da da da," and someone was just like quietly. I'm like,
It was just... I think the reason why it was such a big pop culture thing and why it's such a known name is like rock as we knew it had died when the 2000s came, and then 2004,
I remember that
2006
shift, which I
It was
will
like-
appreciate the fact of that. just
people
for the sake
bands were relevant again.
Yeah.
And I think the White Stripes were at the forefront of that as far as pop culture went.
Yeah.
So it was like
I would
something
give- yeah,
for
I agree with
people.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's even like the Greta Van Fleet thing. Like I don't really like I hate that shit too. But it's tough because
Yeah.
it's tough though because I'm like I don't fucking like that band and I don't give a shit. But at the same time you're like there's so much garbage that like if you hear a band that's playing ripoff, even like ripoff Led Zeppelin stuff, you're like, God, if one person buys that shitty album and thinks it's cool, gets tired of it, and
I
then
get
listens
it.
to another rock album, like, God, it's like,
I get it.
oh, like I don't want to like them, and I don't fucking like them, but I'm also like, but like they're not the worst thing happening in music
Ooh.
right now either. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't.
And that's my only.
They're
thing,
ready.
is I don't
They're
fucking
ready.
like them either.
I
But
agree
like,
with
it's
you.
hard to be like fuck that band. 'Cause I'm like, God
Fuck that
damn it.
band. I get what you're saying, but fuck that band. All right.
I just don't really like Kanye West.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's a pretty typical one.
Do
Yeah,
most
that's a good
people
one.
not? Fuck.
think
I
It's
don't
okay.
know. I don't
No,
even
no,
know.
but-
Like,
but-
I
but
think I
it-
used to listen to
Me
some
too.
of this stuff when
Me
I was
too.
in high school.
Got really shitty
and I
later.
was like, oh, this is cool, yeah. And then like a month later, I was like, yeah, it's something
And like
else
nowadays,
now.
is it just like a gimmick thing that he's like
I don't
just
know.
playing that he's dumb?
But I like that
What
one.
he tweets.
I don't know.
I'm
I
not
think
even on
he
Twitter,
got
but
in
I
like
somehow
a.
hear what he tweets. Like,
He,
that's
he,
bullshit.
he had a head injury and he's been on prescription drugs for the last couple of years. So like things have been going. People are saying there's
He's
like something
actually
really
dumb.
happening with him. Yeah.
Bring the hate.
There's, I mean, there's a lot like, kind of going back to the Jack White thing. I mean, I don't hate Jack White, but any band that like
Band's over.
any band that
so over.
any band that rips off another band blatantly and like doesn't give credit obviously is grounds for
They're a cover band.
destruction. But
What's your band?
I love Pink Floyd, but I just heard a story recently about Roger Waters
Yeah.
on Conan O'Brien, and I love Conan O'Brien,
Mhm.
and he was just like a total cunt to him, and he said,
He's classic for being a total cunt.
so like during the break that happens during the commercial break, it's always like kind of like chit chats or whatever. And
oh, hey, by
he's
the way,
like,
fuck your mom.
yeah, it was something like, oh, so this interview's done? And I was like, I guess so. He's like, okay, well, this is me leaving. And so I would pick him or
Him personally, like.
him personally.
Okay.
Roger Waters. But
No,
I mean,
you don't
I-
get two.
I-
You
I
don't
love
get
Pink
two.
Floyd, though.
I said.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, too bad. You said it. Can't take it
Black
back.
Keys.
Oh, he should have went first. It's better. Oh, what I know now.
All right. So the last question.
Car ride
You guys
home question.
each get to answer, and only say one answer.
Sneaky fuck.
And don't do the obvious one because there's a payoff at the end. Give us one band, artist, or musician that everyone should be listening to. One. And while you guys are thinking, Tess, can you come over here for a second?
Yeah.
Can you do some filler while I take a quick piss?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, be the host for a second.
Oh, nice.
This beer has gone right through me. So you guys, you can either tell your
I already
story
know
now.
mine.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
Scott.
Go ahead, G. I got a good one, I think.
There's a band called Ass. They're just called Ass. It's like a guy from, I believe, Sweden who just plays like acoustic guitar in a lot of like open tunings. Like it's not what it sounds like at all. It's kind
Are
of like
these bands
folky.
you hate, or is this who you
No,
love
no,
now?
this is like everyone should
Oh,
listen to
okay.
Ass.
I wasn't sure what the
Yeah.
question
This is
was. I
bands that we
missed
wish
that.
we could get, but some people won't let us all the time. You're
Okay.
just like,
I just
man,
heard
dude,
Greta
listen
Van
to-
Fleet, and I was like, oh, they're probably talking about
That's what
bands
it-
they
yeah,
hate.
we were on that, yeah. But yeah,
That
Ass.
was a hate
Check out
band.
Ass.
Okay.
Check out Ass.
Check out that Ass. Check out Ass.
Check out Ass.
Yeah. Anyway.
Is that a real band?
Yeah, they're amazing. I like them a lot.
I like
Alright.
it. It's a ballsy name. Cool.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
simple.
It's a fat name.
You
Oh
guys-
yeah. I'm still really fucking digging this band, the Rosewood Brothers. They're from Athens, Greece, and I was listening to like I don't even know how the fuck I found them. I was listening to something on YouTube. I was at work and just like on the computer, I just like brought up some playlist of some sort. I like played something and I was like, oh yeah, like this some shit. And I was listening to like some like stoner rock kind of stuff. They were playing like Somali Pirates and something else and Sasquatch. And I was kind of like, it was like going through like a list of things. And then all of a sudden I was like working and I just like something caught my ear and I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? And I like looked it up and it was the Rosewood Brothers. And like they're nothing they're not like a fancy band or anything, like not reinventing the wheel, but they're just a really solid kind of bluesy rock band.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
And like they're fucking good. Like the tones are great, the albums are recorded great. They're catchy, but they're like heavy and unique. And then they're a fucking great. It's a great album, and they're a really good band. And I keep listening to other stuff, and I'm listening to that CD like once a week or every other week. Like it comes up, and I'm like, I want to hear those songs again.
Nice. That's a good one. That it speaks a lot to come back to something multiple times.
I should have said that.
Gene meant to say graveyard.
He said ass.
I heard as I was leaving. I was like,
said
okay.
Just the name makes me want to check them out.
It's an ass.
I'll check that ass out.
I would say, for like one musician, just because he encompasses so many great bands and things that I love, Emil Amos. Carl Estenson.
Evil Amos.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So he's the drummer for Grails. He's the drummer in Ohm. He
Okay.
has a project called Lilacs and Champagne. He has a solo thing called Holy Sons. He has a podcast as well where he talks about like drums and stuff and drugs and stuff. But it's like a lot of introspective stories that he has and like psychedelic experiences he's had and
Like people should
Yeah.
just check him out as a person.
just as a person. And
Yeah.
he's an amazing musician. He plays guitar, he plays drums, and he just has a very good outlook on life and has a lot of really cool stories and a lot of musical knowledge too. He talks a lot about like 60s and 70s Prague and old
Some of
weird
the best
obscure
Prague.
like British rock
Yeah.
and stuff. He's really cool.
Very cool. Well, fuck. I think the band, artist, or musician that everyone should be listening to is Hell is a City.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
I knew
All right, guys, that's the end of it. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And Michael Maldonado, not to steal your thunder, but he is a buddy of mine, and he said, listen to Iris, who happened to be playing at the Satellite tomorrow. So there's your shout out, Mike. And but Hell is the City, thanks for coming by. I had a really good time. Thanks for bringing quality beer, by the way.
Yep.
The the Topa Topa.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Oh.
That was good. Thank you guys. We're logging off. Say goodbye.
Wait, really quick. Could we?
Wait, yeah, do it. Do your plugs.
I just remembered. Yeah. So we did record, and we'll have stuff up like ASAP. So by the time this, I'm just sorry. Yeah. So we have recordings up; those will be available, and then also we're playing. Shit, what is the date of the 4th Street Vine in Long Beach? March 6th with Gorgeous.
Harvell's, is that booked yet?
Nope.
Okay. We're gonna have a.
And then Harvell soon. Hey yo.
All right. Now, everybody sing the intro to Country Road, Take Me Home as we log off.
Country Road. Hey, that's not the intro. That's fair.
I'm getting this off now.
West Virginia.